Good morning to all of you. Thank you for being here. I know that we collectively, but especially you with your outreach and your work, being here, working on this joint working group, we're really on to something huge, something tremendous in California, and something that the other states will look at. First, before I begin my formal remarks, I would like to recognize this esteemed panel, but especially several people who have been talking to me about language access for some time since I've become chief. And that is someone you know, these people you know very well, Justice Maria Rivera from the first DCA, who also is a member of, I think the new name is Providing Access and Fairness, an advisory committee. Advisory committee providing access and fairness. I'm working on that because we just approved the new name change at the Judicial Council meeting last week on Thursday. I also would like to thank and recognize, of course, Judge Manuel Covarrubias from Ventura County, who is also a member of the CAP, the Court Interpreters Advisory Panel, and of course, Steve Austin, Judge of Contra Costa County, who is chair of CAP, the Court Interpreters Advisory Panel. But all of us know that none of us could be here today or the work that you do without every bit of involvement that you all bring and your expertise and commitment to bringing language access to all of California. Your charge, your mission, frankly, is to provide guidelines, recommendations, to provide a consistent, comprehensive, statewide plan to California for language access in our courts. Our courts are the largest in the country, largest in the world in terms of law trained, and also, as you know better than I, the diversity of language that's spoken in our courts. You also know, as you have come to teach me, that approximately 40% of families in California speak a language other than English at home. And you also know that approximately 7 million people who have limited English proficiency skills come to the courts needing access. And so what we know from those numbers and what we know from 38 million Californians is that diversity of culture, ethnic, language is one of California's distinguishing features. It's also one of our most tremendous assets. And it also causes us to think about how we can continue to provide meaningful, fair, equal access to all Californians. And last year when I announced my vision for California, and that is Access 3D, that is access to justice in the courts through 3 dimensions. The first dimension that we talked about was physical dimension, and that is that people have access through their courthouses and their courtrooms and their court facilities in the communities they live. The second part of Access 3D was remote access, and that is that if you cannot physically get to a court, that you have equal access in getting to court through technology, which we are working on. But probably the most overriding critical factor that makes the other 2 Access 3Ds work is equal access 3D. And equal access, as far as I'm concerned, my highest priority at this point is language access in California. Because we know from our numbers, the 40% of families, the 7 million people who have difficulty or challenges in our courts, what we know is that if there is a language access problem to courts, and as an aside, we already know how complicated court work can be, legal motions and hearings and the structure of our courts, as well as the development of hearings into motions into trials, already complicated regardless of your skill with language. That if you have a challenge with English and understanding it, it makes your access to justice and your ability to realize democracy in our state almost illusory if we cannot provide equal understanding and language access. And so I know all of you are working together in this joint working group to create that. I also want to say, I believe since I last visited you, I took a field trip to Washington, D.C. for another matter, and at the same time asked to speak to Tony West, third in command at U.S. DOJ. And when I sat with him and his staff, along with Judge Jarr and Kurt Child, we talked about language access in California and told him about what we were doing in California, that we are embarking on a model comprehensive program. And he was pleased to hear that and wanted to know more and more about what California is doing. Also recently, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, we at the Judicial Council voted to provide what funds there are in the interpreters' leftover funds in the interpreters' fund balance to apply it to the extent possible for language interpreters' access in civil hearings. And so again, California is trying in many ways, but what we're looking for you is a comprehensive program, a comprehensive approach. And to that end, I'm especially pleased to hear about your public hearings and the outreach that you will do with the public and our stakeholders as we strive to create what will be the most exemplary, comprehensive plan in the United States, starting in California. I thank you for your work. I know this is not easy, but I appreciate your bringing your expertise, your patience, and your determination to make this happen. Thank you, one and all.